All right, now the big political issue, the long-term policy issue that the Prime Minister's grappling with is net zero. Pressure on him to match the rest of the world and business and the states and say net zero by 2050. Can Australia get to net zero by 2050?
Well, it can with a credible plan. A plan without a target lacks credibility, and a target without a plan lacks credibility. And that's the point the Prime Minister's been making every step of the way, is we need to clearly get there. Now, part of it's going to be on the basis of existing technologies, but what we know in the next 10 to 20 years is we're going to see a rapid advancement in technology, replacement of energy, in power in cars, and what we're going to be doing in agriculture. And you've seen what's been going on at the moment around the government's clear message on positive energy in terms of transitioning agriculture. So I absolutely believe we can get there. And that's kind of what this conversation is really about. It's about recognising there is a future and there is an opportunity out of the challenge our country faces. The question is whether we seize it and how we seize it. And that's where the government's rightly focused. I absolutely believe it can be done.
The point here is I think it's easy to make that promise. Everybody has made that promise. So what do politicians have to lose by making it? The real question for the public is how do you do it? And I just want to show you a quote from the International Energy Agency, their big report earlier this year on net zero 2050 globally. A lot of media focused on this, but they all missed out this key point where it says most of the global reductions in CO2 emissions through to 2030 can be done with existing technologies. But in 2050, almost half the reductions come from technologies that are currently in a demonstration or prototype phase. In other words, we do not have the technology yet to get to net zero. So the promise is made on a wing and a prayer.
I don't agree actually with that. I mean, I agree that a lot of the technologies are in the prototype state and are going to make it through to maturity and going to be deployed. And that's going to be critical, not just for getting our emissions down, but of course getting the emissions in other countries, and particularly developing countries who can't manage that cost. But we know not just that this current generation of technologies are in prototype stage, are going to keep going. And there's huge investment that's going into this space. And this is ultimately where Australia and the rest of the world is wanting to lean into this challenge. And it's a question of the extent we want to lean into it, where we see the opportunities from it. And I think they're considerable. Of course, there's a very big focus on our government from hydrogen and the potential it can play, because it's not just something that we can produce locally, which obviously is good for our own energy, it's good for jobs, but also the potential of how we can export it, particularly through parts of Asia. We're already exporting or trial exporting hydrogen to Japan. So there are plenty of opportunities in this space.
Yeah, but there's a lot of technology yet to be developed.
Yeah,
we shall see. Thanks for joining us, Tim. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Tim Wilson there joining us live from Canberra. The Nats, some Nats, are raising opposition to this at the moment. It's a very easy promise to make because it's 10 elections away before you deliver on it. But the issue here is the political pain that Scott Morrison might go through on this in the lead up to the next election. We know it's confounded all the Prime Ministers before him over the past decade. And as I said there, how do you deliver it? I'll have a documentary showing you how to deliver it in about a month or so.